What's going on, guys? It's your JRPG enthusiast here, Shadow Elite. Welcome back. Alrighty, so Colin Moriarty of Kinda Funny Gamescast. And if you don't know what Kinda Funny Gamescast is, they're a group of individuals that once worked with IGN on the popular gaming and media website, and they left IGN due to, I believe, creative differences and maybe other things like they wanted to review the games they wanted, and they didn't want to be tied down by IGN. So they left, they made their own podcast, they have their whole little thing on YouTube. Well, I shouldn't say little, they are really big, and they are really a popular source of entertainment and information when it comes to the gaming industry, and people do want to hear what they have to say. So one of the things Colin Moriarty said on the Kinda Funny Gamescast, this is what he said.
I'm a big old school JRPG fan. I've kind of fallen off because I think the Japanese role-playing genre is largely trash now, and I don't think anyone would really dispute that.
So he thinks the JRPG genre is largely trash, and that usually wouldn't really even warrant my response. But he actually said, after he said that, he said, I don't think anybody would argue that. And that is something I would have to argue. Now, before we get into that whole thing, let me just give you a little bit of insight into what that video actually entails. As you can see from the title of the video, it was pretty much he was about to give his review, quote unquote, on Tales of Berseria. And then he goes on to say, he ultimately says that Tales of Berseria is good, he recommends people play it, and all that stuff. He said positive things about Tales of Berseria, but he also only played the game for about 15 hours. 15 hours of a 40-hour game. I'm about 11 hours in Tales of Berseria myself, and I haven't even gotten out my first impressions of it just yet. And that begs the question, guys, can you review a game and you haven't beaten it yet? Especially a JRPG. JRPGs are long. I know from firsthand experience that sometimes they just drag on sometimes. But they also have bad points going on towards the end, and the ending could be completely terrible. Now, I also believe if Tales of Berseria had a really crappy ending that we all heard about from Japan, I think he would somehow be able to mention that too, but he wouldn't mention that he played it for 15 hours. Anyway, that's just an assumption on my part. But again, can you review a game without beating it? That doesn't make any sense to me, especially only being 15 hours into the game. That was more of a first impression, unless you get in the game real early, which I believe he got the game really early. So how can he be 15 hours into the game when he's had the game about maybe a week or two earlier than us? Normal Joe Schmoes that have to buy the game on release date. So, and I also know he plays other games and he has other things to do. He's not just playing games all day. But I believe, I'm not sure, but that Gamescast, that whole podcast thing he's got going there is his job. So he pretty much gets paid to play games. But as I said before, JRPGs are long and people only play games. Well, I know I only play games for about 2-3 hours a day for the most part. Now back to JRPGs being trashed today. I think many people would agree that the JRPG isn't exactly where it was back on the Super NES days, the PlayStation 1, hell, even the PlayStation 2. I think people would agree on that aspect. That if you compare it to back then, yes, it's trash. I'm not gonna give it to you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it much. Are there plenty of great games, memorable games? Of course there are. And today, I would not say the JRPG genre is trash. There is a lot of trash out there, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of trash out there. A lot of trashy JRPGs out there. Star Ocean 5 for one. Okay? That game is terrible. And there are some other ones, and I guess with a person like Colin Moriarty, he sees most of the JRPGs that are trash. He sees most of those, alright? He sees the ones that are really doused in the anime aesthetic. And that's unfortunate because that's just, the cover of everything, and you have to go and play the game yourself. Like, I'm not even sure if he played Legend of Heroes series. Legend of Heroes Cold Steel. I'm playing that right now. I'm absolutely loving it. Trails in the Sky was a great game. I think he would enjoy that if he played it. I'm not even sure if he did. Even if he did, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't beat it. But he's not the type of person that would actually go out of his way to play a game that came out maybe a year or so ago. He's more into playing the games of right now. Fire Emblem, even though I thought Fire Emblem Fates was really questionable, even though I gave it a really high score in my review, a high rank on my review, Awakening was excellent game. And then you have Persona 5 coming out, so we all know Persona 5 is going to be amazing. Final Fantasy 15, he said that Final Fantasy changes up too much, and I do agree on that, but that's Square Enix trying to keep up with the times. Square Enix trying to cater to a wider audience. And I'm not going to say turn-based is dead, but action RPGs or just an action setup pretty much appeals to a wider audience, other than even people that are in gaming. They'll see it and they'll be like, oh, that game looks like fun to play. Unfortunately, a lot of people, the wider audience, guys, I can't stress that enough, does not go towards the turn-based affair. So anyway, there are plenty of JRPGs out that aren't bad. Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, for that matter. But are the majority of it trash? I wouldn't say that. I would just say that it's not as good as it used to be, and there is a lot of trash out there, but you just gotta know the ones to avoid and which ones to play. I completely disagree with that statement that he made. JRPGs are not trash nowadays, and I guess that you can say that's really biased, because what am I? I'm a guy who talks about JRPGs. I'm a guy who loves JRPGs. JRPGs are my first choice of game to play. So is this really fair? If you're looking at this from just a gamer's point, a general gamer's point of view, they look at the JRPG, and yes, it's again doused in that anime aesthetic. They'd be like, that's lame, I'm not gonna play it. Fortunately, guys, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Sometimes when you just look at the JRPG from the outside, it does look a little bit lame when compared to the other games out in the gaming industry nowadays. That's just the way it is. But with what he said again is wrong. JRPGs is not trash. There's a lot of trash out there again, but JRPGs are not trash today. They're nowhere near as good as they were back in the day. PS1 really comes to mind for me, and the PS2. But hey, that's just the way it is. Hopefully, in the future, we'll get better JRPGs, and maybe as every year that comes by, I believe people will always say that this year for JRPGs is the strongest yet. So anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts on this. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Be honest, guys. You know, I know this is a JRPG channel. You don't have to get on my good side. I really don't care. I like to hear other people's opinions. Let me know, do you honestly think the JRPG genre is trash? It might just be to you. Maybe you have good arguments to back up your claim. Of course, if you love it, let me know also. Well, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.